Hello, my name's Oren Prunken and welcome to the Create More Customers podcast. In this episode, I'll be talking about identifying ideal customers, educating potential customers, utilizing different marketing channels, creating and distributing content, targeting specific customer segments, building a sales funnel, asking for referrals, being consistent and persistent, considering paid advertising, and providing value through communication. So without further ado, let's get into it, and I really hope you enjoy this episode.
There are the people that want to do it for themselves. There are also people that want to have it done for them on the other end of the spectrum, and then in the middle, having it done with them. So there is different types of people, and it's really getting to the ones that want it done for them rather than the do-it-yourselves. And I'll probably cover this a little bit later, but the path to getting to the ones that will do it, you'll do it for them, is going and filtering through the do-it-yourself. So literally filtering through all of your communication. I can talk about what that looks like on the lead side, but also what that looks like on the sales side, and kind of filtering them out along all of those stages. So I can go through all of that, but there is definitely a cohort of people that want it done for them. They just want to, hand everything over, and it's just finding those people through communication. Are you happy for me to go through some of those ideas with you now of how I think it could work for you? And I think the most logical part for me is just to start with the sales side of things. So once someone has come in and opted in, or they've qualified themselves to say, look, I've got a need, is then what do you do with them after that? So the very first step I think about it is the person that's coming in, are they aware that they have a problem? Are they problem unaware, or are they problem aware? Now, someone that's unaware that they've a problem, the proverbial, they've got toilet paper hanging off the back of their shoe and they don't even realise why everyone's laughing at them. That's a harder conversation to convert someone when they know that they've got toilet paper on the back of their shoe and they're walking around. All they need to do is find a solution to that, and then they can go from there. So are they problem aware, or are they the step before that, problem unaware? And how can you move them from problem unaware to problem aware, and then solution aware? And this is where we were talking about done it for you, do it yourself, or done with you. There's several solutions out there, including doing nothing. And potentially they could just do nothing, do it themselves, have you do it with them, or just take the burden off them and done for you. There are several options out there, and some of them are commercial, some of them are not commercial. And then it's finally trying to convince them that they want to have it done for you, that you are the best service provider to be able to go out and do that. So if you can do it in a logical sequence, not only, and I'm talking very high level here, do it in a logical sequence where you lay it all out for them. In your communication, we can talk about what that looks like a bit later, but if you can communicate that, you don't know where that person is going to be in this journey, and if you can put it all out, they'll self-select on what messaging works for them, and then come in at those points. So you want to be telling people, you probably don't know you have a problem, but here's how to identify it. You probably have a problem. Here are some solutions, including doing nothing, done for you, done with you, do it yourself. And if you want it done for you, there are commercial solutions out there. You being one of them, other providers being out there, and that could, even though you said there's nothing currently in this city, but other cities, they could go to other cities, and then communicating of why you're different than those, what your differentiator is, to really then push them across, to present them with an offer of what they get, how they get it, when they get it, and then a price. So that's how I think about that model. They're not going to self-select. They're going to self-select into those different categories. So putting everything out there and only concentrating on the ones that move to the next step down the line. For that, in order that to happen, it's a funnel, right? For order that to happen, you need to then feed a lot of people into the front end of that, or get enough awareness with that communication and distribution that enough people come in and then slowly filter themselves down. And then that comes to the marketing side of things. How do you get people to come in? How do you get those leads in? And then I think about in a few different ways of who's your ideal customer, and thinking about where they're located, either physically located, or are they in a virtual environment, a digital online environment? So where is that person? Who is that person? Next step being, where is that person? So if they're physically, are they at the places that you mentioned for networking, or are they online? Or are they in places that aren't online? So really narrow down who that person is, where they are, and then finally, what are you going to tell them? And that's what I just said all before. You're going to tell them about the problem, the solution, and then the product, and ideally your product. So taking a very strategic approach with that. Now the issue is, what do? You just throw it all out there and see what sticks, and let those people grab the messages that are resonating with them, and then let them self-select into that funnel and category to contact you. And in terms of who your customer is, there's a few different ways you can look at it. You can look at it in terms of geography, online, offline. You can look at it in terms of demographics, age, occupation. Then the next rung down is what's happening in their heads, psychographics, their worldviews, the things that they like and dislike, and then their behaviours. What are they actually doing? And at the very top, geographics, very broad. They live in Australia. Next one down, they're males that are 35 to 45 in the southern suburbs of South Australia. The next one down, they only like ice cream. And then the next one down is they run between 9:30 and 10 a.m. every morning. It's very hard to target the lower rungs, and it gets easy to target the higher rungs, whether you're using paid or non-paid channels to reach them. And then that's a decision that you want to think about in the future. Do you want to put some money behind putting your messages out, problem aware, solution aware, product aware, or do you want to do it for free organically? And there's lots of digital platforms that allow that, and there's a lot of physical platforms if you want to do letter drops and things like that. It just takes your time to put that stuff out. So it's thinking about what those options may look like for you. And so that's a really good point. Instead of putting a sales message out there, buy my thing, if you can go down or up the funnel and talk more about what the problem people have and do more educational stuff, you're not breaking any spam laws, whether that's email or junk mail, but it's also educating people of why they may need this service, rather than just going in and asking for the sale right away. So really just providing a whole bunch of education. And you mentioned that previously, that one of your clients came in through commenting via LinkedIn. And I don't know what you said, but my intuition says that you probably went in there, provided some sort of value, gave them some sort of advice around the niche that you're in. They said, oh, well, this person knows exactly what they're talking about. They've educated me. Maybe I want to follow up with them. So that's really the gist I would be looking at. And especially if you've been doing that on LinkedIn, going in every day and looking at categories or hashtags of people that have already posted things that are around either the problem area that you solve or the solution area, and going in and dipping in and giving your advice, your expert opinion on that. Naturally, what's going to happen, someone that they don't know has commented on their post, i.e. you. They're like, who is this person? I don't know. Click on your profile, look at your bio, and if then that resonates with them, they're like, they already know. People are smart enough to recognize that you are a service provider without you having to overtly tell them. People will get it. You're doing the talk, record the talk, chop that up into smaller pieces. If you say something that's brilliant in a 15-second clip, then use the fire hose of the internet, and it's particularly social platforms, to then amplify what you've already captured and done. So then you've got the 30 people, and maybe the whole purpose of that is not to get any clients. The purpose of that is to get some recorded material that you can then amplify and get more spread beyond those people. And if you do get a client out of that, then that's just cream on the top. The thing with that is, the person that's receiving that educational content, I don't care if it's black and white. All I want to do is hear your voice give me the information to tell me that I have a problem when I don't know I had a problem, and that there's potentially solutions out there. People are after the information rather than the design. The caveat to that is, if you are selling video services, then your video needs to be good. But for all of these other scenarios, it's fine. You're not selling the service that you are demonstrating it through. Yeah, so over a 40-minute period, the amount of smart things you're going to say that people are going to like is going to be at least 50. You're going to say at least 50 sentences that are going to have some sort of value for it. If you can then chop that up and then distribute it, then you're starting to put messages out about the problem, the solution, the potential products that are out there, why some are better and or different from what you've got. But then it's going back and working out who your ideal customer is and putting it on those channels where they're actually going to find them. And you probably know who that ideal person is, and just by looking back on your previous customer list and just working out what's the common denominator between all these people and narrow down to that to start with. Of course, on these social channels, people beyond that are going to see it just by default because it's a scattergun approach, but if you can then narrow it down to those types of people, using things like hashtags when you're posting, but also going to hashtags and then going, I just did a talk, here's the clip from that answers this specific thing. Or not even that, actually just typing out the 3 sentences that addresses whatever that person is saying. And it doesn't even need to answer the question, it can just add to it or expand on what's already been said. People can be like, you know what you're talking about, you must be an expert, who's this person? Click on the profile, see your bio, click through your website. Oh, I just so happen to want to do a done for you service. The thing with, if you're able to do, you've got a talk in February, if you're able to capture that 40 minutes and you're able to split that so you're investing an hour of your time, if you're able to split that up into, say, 100 different smaller pieces of content, you divide that over a month, being, maybe if I'm being conservative, divide it up over 3 months, 100 bits of content divided by 3, that's 90 days. It's one piece of content a day. You've already got 3 months worth of messaging that you can just send out. And you only do 4 talks a year, and you've got something to stay relevant, front of mind, and communicate with people every day of the year. If you want to get a bit more ambitious, then you could do it, once a month, a talk a month, or not even a talk a month. Literally sit in your office and put aside, not even 45 minutes, put aside 15 minutes and just talk through, well, today I'm going to address how you identify that you might need a service like this to make people problem aware. Next one you might talk about, now that you know that you've got all of this stuff lying around, what are the options? And literally just go through every single option. Here are all of your options. By default, they're going to say, well, you're the only provider putting this information out, therefore you must know what you're talking about. You're demonstrating the product before they actually go buy to reduce that buyer's remorse later on down the track. With video, we're talking via video now, it makes things a little bit more real in a 2D digital world, where photos, now we're getting, photos were worked for the internet speeds that we used to have, but now technology's progressing. Wait until it's holograms, we'll be doing whatever that looks like in the future. But, videos do tend to resonate with people. People like to look at real faces that are moving and talking. It's not quite in person, but it's getting closer and closer, and I think that's one of the reasons why people are starting to really resonate with video content. But look, you don't need to do it. If that's something that's not you don't want to do, we can record audio. And if you don't even want to do that, you can just write if you're a writer. People still read books. Like, look at my bookshelf. Like, people still read. It's just whatever works for you, and if it's overwhelming, just pick something that you can do consistently and feels natural to you. Otherwise, if we think video converts better, but you never do it, then we're still back in the same, situation. So it's like, it does work better, but if we're not doing it, then it's kind of doesn't really matter, But if that ideal person is offline, offline, or in a physical location, there are plenty of channels to reach those people and tell similar messages. So the messages aren't going to change. That's been tried and true, that sales stuff of getting someone from problem unaware all the way through to product aware. That's not going to change, but how you reach them and how you deliver them, it all just comes back to where is that person, and you know where that person is based on who they are. And we can talk that through if you want to, or you can just take that as high level. But yeah, it doesn't necessarily need to be purely digital or online. It just so happens to be that's where everyone's looking these days. Everyone's pulling out their phone, but it also happens to be free, and those social platforms need people to put out information to make them work. So it's a double win for you. It's free distribution. They need you to put that out to win, but it's not, by all means, not the only thing to focus on. So yeah, I'd really think about who it is, where are they, and then what are you going to communicate. We've kind of gone through high level what you want to communicate, and going back to those first two questions and then don't get overwhelmed. Quite quick wins for you is go back to the customers that you've had in the past and then ask them for referrals. And the wording you could use is simple, and I've used similar wording, and it's very simple and effective, is do you know anyone who is like you? We're looking to take on more clients. Do you know anyone that I can get in contact with that is like you and has the needs that you want? And just literally ask the people that have been your previous customers for referrals. There could be, and I don't know necessarily with your product, they could actually say, oh, I need it again, and become a repeat customer. That's not unusual to happen when asking for referrals. But you want to ask them if they know anyone, even though you may actually want them to come back. It may just be the trigger for them to say, you know what? Well, I actually do need you again. It's not been on my radar, completely forgotten about it, but now that you've contacted me, I don't know anyone, but the person I know is me. Can I come back for repeat business? The other thing that you could look at is, and I know you've done before, is double down on those partnerships, referral partnerships. For that, and I don't know if you've already got it, but really thinking about what incentive you can give them to refer people to you. So if they refer someone to you, what can you give them back in return? And don't necessarily default to money. They may want other things, and one of the best things to ask is, if you can send us referrals, what would you like in return? And really just get them to say what is important to them. And it may be the things that you don't even guess, and most people default to they want a payment for it, and that may not actually be the case. They may want something else. Who knows what that is, but putting it to them and saying, we'd love you to, and I don't know what that referral looks like to you. Do you just want a phone number and email address? Do you want them to become a customer for the referral to go through? There's a lot of nuance to that, but those referral partners, if they have your customer already, then you can just tap into that pipeline of water and divert it to you. So, and that's a bit of a longer term play. Setting up partnerships. There's a lot of business development and negotiation that has to happen with that. But I would definitely see those conversations with people. They're not going to happen straight away, but yeah. If they've already worked for you, I would double down on the two things that are already really working for you. There's really nothing wrong with borrowing what's working already and then adding your flavour to it. So if it's already working for them, that channel may actually work for you. Probably the key for you is to work out, especially in the messaging, to talk about how you're different than what they're doing. Just to provide some sort of comparison. The other thing with advertising is, once you're putting dollars in, you really want to get dollars back out, or at least $1.01 back out. And that's a bit of a risk unless you've got a big war chest of money that you're happy to dump in there and test. What I've seen work for people that don't have a big war chest that they're just willing to burn through for testing is to do a lot of what we were talking about before, and putting all those messages out through free channels, and then looking at how the market reacts to certain things, And if the market's reacting positively to a certain message, then you know that that messaging is going to work, and then putting ad dollars behind that, whether it's digital or through another channel. At least then you know you've tested through these free social channels of what the market's going to resonate with, so you're not pouring money on it, pouring money down the drain. When you are pouring money on it, you know that it's going to resonate and potentially convert. If you're talking about that product aware content, problem aware content, I probably wouldn't do that with ads in your situation, but I'm just trying to give you a few different scenarios to think about that without having to waste a lot of dollars. So testing for free before you run ad dollars, because you can just burn through money quickly. Was it the offer? So was it the gift cards that was the issue? Was it the wording that you were using to sell the gift cards, or to click for people to click through to get the gift card? Was it the sales message that was the problem? Or was it the targeting that was the problem? It doesn't sound like your targeting was, but what I'm trying to get to is how many people viewed that ad to then click through? What kind of percentage conversion was that? And that will help you define, was it the offer or how you were selling it? They don't know you, they don't like you, they don't trust you. Those three factors decrease your conversion. As soon as we know each other now, so the trust level, we know each other now, the trust level is a little bit higher. We probably somewhat on a very minimal level like each other, and there's probably some minimal amount of trust because you first liked me and then you knew who I was. But if you remove any of the former two, that trust level goes down. So whatever you're offering them, they're going to say, well, I don't know who you are. I don't even like you. What am I just going to spend money with you? But if you can remove those barriers, and what I'm talking about here is Facebook ads, you're coming in cold. They don't know you, they don't like you, and they don't trust you. 3% conversions, it's not a laughing, it's not anything to sneeze or laugh at. That when anything becomes too difficult, too hard, or there's too much friction, then people start to bounce, they go too hard. If you can make that link between that ad and that page, distractionless is what it sounds like, and it follows on. There's a scent between both of them that they came to the right place. You'll probably get more conversion on the other side. Is in that feed of all of the other delicious content that's in there, can you get them to stop? Is it the video, the image, the headline that's going to get them to stop? And then once they've stopped, will they consume that bite-sized piece of information to then click? That's all you're trying to do. Get their attention, tell them something, and then get them to take action. Having a really small product to offer them, to get them in, to build that trust, to know that you deliver on time, you do what you say you're going to do. You can always upsell to the higher prices down the end, but getting a cheap. You look at fast food; they have the dollar menu for a reason. You come in for the dollar chips, and what's the question they always ask once you've ordered it? Do you want to upsize that? Do you want dessert with that? You want them to stop and get their attention, no matter what that looks like, even if it's unrelated to the gift card. Dog with gift card, cat with gift card. Gift cards are the worst. Gift cards are the best. Doesn't matter. Stop them, get them, tell them a message, and then that's the name of the game. And then on your notepad, write out all 10 different headlines. Get 10 different images. Try different things. And then it's better to do it beforehand, because otherwise the ads are running, you want to pause it, then you're feeling a bit stressed, and then you don't feel creative because you're not running your ads. Having it all just set up and you can just copy and paste out of your folders will just will reduce so much stress for you.